So now I write a response to Melissa Turner, who is my assigned case manager. And what is the, and we're trying to figure out, you have a name like case manager and you work in social services, you know, you're supposed to do some stuff, right? Anyway, so I write a response to her. Here it goes. Miss Paganini did not send a copy of the email to you, although she talks about chain of command and such. You said that Paganini will provide or coordinate the services arising from my letter, and that is also what should have been done from looking at your mission statement and other documents. It even says no wrongdoer and talks about partners. All this started 4 years ago by things being forced upon me, and we talked about an unlawful mailing. Yet, ignoring our agreement that Paganini contact me, Gross instead. So ignoring our agreement that Miss Paganini be the one who contacts me, Miss Gross contacted me. You agreed that no mailings would be made, but further mailings were made. Then to further the disrespect, Paganini insults my mental status, and she brings out my mother, saying that that I should get my mother to come and help me with the matter. She talks about things not being in her jurisdiction, but how is my mother and her assessment of my mental status in her jurisdiction? The crime started like in a dungeon that I escaped. It's clear that for much of the 4 years that followed, that Paganini is one of the principal persons who put me into a virtual dungeon, similar to the virtual slavery done to blacks for 100 years following the emancipation. So here's another email back to these people. You, meaning Maryland and Montgomery County governments and all agents and all within the same nexus extending to Social Security and their DC hearing office, have been sending me harmful communication by mail, email, and phone. Then you also lie that you have not received my communication. We discussed this at your office, the Social Services office, a week ago. So we agreed that to keep an open channel, we shall use email alone. Then I also made clear that the criminal spam email must terminate immediately. You know, the ones like dating in Milwaukee. I also want all the maliciously caused telemarketing phone calls and junk mail to stop right now. At your social services offices last year, you told me that you can file my appeals for fair hearings. I request that you file requests for me in a timely manner. Both with last year and last week, you told me of some state agents that you instruct to contact me, and I am supposed to work with them, and so they can advocate for me with Social Security. Immediately get this done and pass along that letter I gave you in the Social Services office and the statements I gave you about the difficulties encountered with the Social Security DC hearing office. We know that my food stamps and TDAP are entirely connected to my Social Security disability application, and so is Medicaid. As with the example of child support, when someone else is the first in line with the obligation to pay, you are required to see to it that they pay. This rule even appears with Medicaid. When someone else caused my injuries, they must be made to pay, not through the Medicaid funds. Not only did I not apply for Medicaid and never renewed, you keep sticking me back in there. And it's not a separate department. Your supervisor emailed that I have coverage until 2018. How could she know of such a privacy protected matter if it's not within your scope? I showed you how by criminal means you block my right of getting Medicaid medical care. The basics of my rights are your contractor, MedStar's handbooks and manuals. Immediately, I need the facts about my medical condition and treatment. Social Security disability, a Maryland, Social Security disability, which a Maryland agency, DDS, is the lead agent for, asks for those same two things, and so does your Form 500. Facts about the medical condition and treatment. After all, it's not about the condition alone, but about how treatment ameliorates the condition. Simple subtraction. With all this primarily within medical records and the openness for questions, you have all the facts that the medical condition gets progressively worse and exponentially worse, and is further exacerbated by the type of criminal abuse you have been doing, which has occurred in the last 10 days. And so now social services, they respond. This office is unable to respond, is unable to address the issues you listed, and we are not able to stop the spam emails you are receiving.